Kuro has finally blessed us with our first elf girl, and she is here to spice up the debuff meta Renacida is heading towards, and the future of Aero. So in this guide, I'll try to keep it short and to the point, so let's quickly talk about where Ciaccona currently sits, how to play her and build her, and what her future looks like. So if you want to know more about Ciaccona, let's get started. Ciaccona is an Aero pistol user that applies Aero Erosion and amplifies it on outro skill, similar to Phoebe, so she is looking to be quite a niche support. I would classify her as a sub DPS because she does some good damage and has a single target outro buff. Some of her pros are that she can apply both Spectrofrazzle and Aero Erosion, making her an upgrade over Spectro Rover in those teams. She also applies either Spectrofrazzle or Aero Erosion off field, so there is no need to refresh the buffs in multi-wave content, which is a huge bonus for DPS Phoebe and presumably the next Aero DPS. And finally, she is Concetto efficient, so she doesn't take much field time. Some of her cons are that she is a pretty niche support because of her outro skill only amplifying Aero Erosion damage, and honestly that is it. She is just a niche support, so she won't find much use outside of her Aero Erosion niche, but the trade-off is that she and her dedicated DPS should be pretty strong because of it. Honestly, that's just speculation. So let's get started on her build next. First, her echoes. If you're running her with an Aero DPS, then use the new Gusts of Welkin set, which has a Tacet field to farm in the new Biora Waters area. If you're going to run her in a team without an Aero DPS, then you'll probably want to run her on Moonlit Clouds. The Gusts of Welkin echo set increases the Aero damage of the team, so it will only increase her own damage. So it will only increase her damage when there is no Aero DPS. For her echo build, she will want a standard 4-3-3-1-1. They crit on the 4 cost, Aero damage on the 3 cost, and attack percent on the 1 cost. You can get away with an attack percent 3 cost, but you don't want to oversaturate her attack, so you'll want at least 1 Aero damage 3 cost. Using 1 attack percent is only marginally worse than an Aero, so you should be fine. If you don't have any energy regen substats, you can consider an energy regen 3 cost temporarily, as Ciaccona is Resonance Liberation reliant to apply her debuffs. So if you aren't able to get enough energy regen substats, it is something to consider. Substats you will want are crit damage, crit rate, and energy regen until the breakpoint, then attack percent. She doesn't have any of her damage scale on something like resonant skill damage, so you won't need any specific damage bonuses. You'll typically want at least around 2 rolls of energy regen or 115%, with around 130% or higher to be on the safe side. It will depend on the team and content, so just get as much as you can to be safe. And that's about as simple as I can make it for the echoes, so let's move on to the weapons. For her weapons, her signature weapon is obviously the best, as it provides a ton of crit rate, gives Aero damage bonus, and shreds the target's Aero res by 10% for 20 seconds. By no means is it mandatory, as I would usually recommend more general 5-star weapons or getting a DPS's signature weapon instead. It is going to be pretty good, since it is great for her personal damage and will help increase the damage of her dedicated DPS from the Aero res shred. So since it does more than just increase her damage and it actually does more for the team, it goes up the list for me in terms of value. Her alternative 5 stars are Carlotta's Last Dance, which is just a stat stick on Ciaccona, since she doesn't really need the resonant skill damage bonus, and the standard 5-star Static Mist, which is also a stat stick unless the DPS benefits from the 12% attack it gives them. For 4-star weapons, the best option is going to be an R5 Romance in Farewell, which is a craftable in Renacida. Next, I would say, is the Relativistic Jet, which you can get from Gacha, which is slightly worse, and unless you have it at R5, it's going to be quite a bit worse than the craftable. Just R5 the craftable, I mean, it's free and you'll be set. But since she doesn't have any damage that scales on a specific damage bonus like most other characters do, it makes the attack percent 4-star weapons a lot better than usual, so you can pretty much go with any of them if you want. But fortunately, it looks like the craftable will be the best one and it's free. So let's move on to her teams and then how to play her and her rotation. Teams for Ciaccona are pretty simple. Wait for her dedicated DPS. Well, I'm only kidding, but seriously though, she doesn't have a specific DPS mode like Phoebe, so she doesn't really do much outside of her niche. You can run her with Gion, DPS Phoebe, and Phoebe-less Zani, and those are kind of your only options at the moment that are, decent enough to probably clear with. I think it's fine though, since a lot of characters release without their dedicated teaming. One of them has to release before the other. You don't want to have to pull both on the same banner, right? That would suck. It does kind of suck though that she doesn't have any decent options, since she doesn't really provide any traditional damage amps. We do know who the next Aero character is though, since Cardathea has been drip marketed to be an arrow sword user. But since she isn't in the game yet, I'm not going to risk telling you to pull a character for a character that actually might not work with them, so you'll have to be the judge yourself. Anyways, this is Ciaccona's talent priority, so finally let's get onto her on-field rotation and how she works. I'll try to keep it as short and simple as possible. First, you will intro her onto the field and then hit her echo skill. Now that she is on the field, we need to build up her forte bar and then use her resonance liberation to then swap off. We need to use her resonance liberation last because she can't move after she casts it. Okay, so to build her forte bar, you have some options. If you don't really care, you can just do 3 basic attack combos and build it that way. It will take about 8 seconds to do that, and then you just hold left mouse button to consume the forte bar. If you want to be a little more min-maxy about it and decrease that time, I found that you can cut it down to about 6 seconds by dash canceling the animation of the basic attack 4. To do this, you will just hit your dash key once she starts her second dash, which I'll show. And you'll know it worked because it'll fill up for forte bar. It can take a little bit of getting the timing down, but I'm pretty confident you'll be able to get it down pretty quickly. You'll also want to use her resonance skill, and I like to save it to cancel the final basic attack combo instead of dashing. And once again, now that her forte bar is full, hold left mouse button to consume the forte bar and then cast resonance liberation and swap onto your main DPS. By default, her resonance liberation will apply Aero Erosion, but by clicking A on keyboard and mouse after cast, you can switch her to apply Spectrofrazzle instead. All in all, it's intro skill on to Ciaccona, use echo skill, basic attack combo, dash cancel on the second dash, do it again, and then do it again a third time, but use resonance skill instead of dashing. Consume the forte bar, use resonance liberation, and outro onto your main TPS. And there you go. Now you know how to build and play Ciaccona. Well, I tried to keep this out as short and simple as possible. Let me know if I missed something, or if you're confused or still have a question about something. Ciaccona still has yet to unlock her full potential in a team, so I'm excited to see how much better this she can get. If you want to see a guide like this for her dedicated DPS, make sure to subscribe. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a like, and thanks for watching until the end. I'll see you in the next one.